We all remember this, 2005, NATALEE Holloway disappearing in Aruba. She was just 18 years old, beautiful young girl. 7 years later, in 2012, NATALEE was declared legally dead. Her body, though, was never found. But today, in court, more than 18 years later, there was justice for NATALEE Holloway and her family. Joran Sloot, the prime suspect in the case, admitted to killing the Alabama teenager. In court, he said he kicked NATALEE in the face and hit her with a cinder block on an Aruba beach. He then pushed her into the ocean. Sloot also pled guilty to charges of extortion and wire fraud in connection with Holloway's remains. And after the hearing, Greta sat down with NATALEE Holloway's mother, Beth Holloway. Here's some of that interview.
Beth, 18 and a half years since we first met. Incredible, isn't it?
Yes, incredible journey with you, Greta. Yes.
You know, I don't know what it's like for you, but, or actually I should ask you, what was it like when you saw Joran Van Susteren walk into the courtroom?
Oh, it felt so victorious. Like, finally. It felt like such an accomplishment, Greta. And I think back to how you even tried to get me 18 plus years ago. You were working so hard to get me in front of him, to get me to the home, to get me in front of the parents, and then to sit here and see him walk in shackled was very victorious.
You know, for me, you know, because we've been on this 18 and a half years journey together, we're sort of the unlikely friends. I'm a cheesehead from Wisconsin, you're from Alabama, and we've become very close. I looked at him, those arms. His arms were so big, and I looked at him and I thought, those cruel arms, beating NATALEE to death and Stephanie Flores. I was stunned at his size. I don't remember him being that large, and he looked violent to me.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I was shocked. I think I was the most shocked when he came in on June 9th and was arraigned. That was the first time I'd seen him in probably, well, since his prison in Peru in 2010, but he was seated. So, but I think that was the most shocking when he came in, his size. I didn't realize how tall he was and big he was. Yeah.
And then the contrast is like when because I think of how violent that he was with these two young women, killing them, and then when I listened to him talk to the judge as he's shackled, he goes, "Yes, ma'am."
Oh, I know.
Yes, ma'am. Almost whispering today, and I thought, what a liar!
Oh, man.
What a cruel liar!
Well, I think he has no conscience, and you've already made it clear to me. He has no remorse. He has no regret. He has no guilt. You know, he just acts. I mean, he just acts. And I think when I said he has 4 functions of existence, it's anger, killer, food, and sex. That's all he's got, Greta. That's all I've ever seen from him, and I think that is his makeup.
Well, the extraordinary thing for me is that I've told you, I've represented people in criminal cases, I've done death penalty cases. I always found something good to say about somebody. Find some remorse. I can think of nothing good to say about him. I mean, I've never seen evil so compact.
Yeah, well, he has remorse for himself. I think that's the only thing that he can feel sorry for is himself. That's it.
Yeah, one thing that I heard is that he said that he wasn't so much angry at the Flores family, Stephanie Flores family, whose daughter he beat to death, but that he was more angry at you and me because we wouldn't let up on him because he's such a victim. Why don't we let it go?
Greta, I think he hates you. Sorry.
I think he does hate me.
Because you were like the driving force for 18 plus years and were relentless, and you never let it go. And with you not ever letting it go, you kept me in that drive mode too, Greta. So.
Well, I always describe, say, and I have an immense amount of awe of you. I mean, you never gave up, and I'm sure people were saying, Beth, get on with your life, or thinking it. You never gave up on your daughter, not for 1 second. I mean, day in and day out, I'd call you early in the morning. It's just been going on. You never gave up on NATALEE.
But Greta, when this last phase was reignited from you in March of 2021, right?
COVID.
Yeah. Well, it was pulling out of it. Yeah.
COVID.
March of 2021. Honestly, Greta, I felt guilty because I was laying down. I was beginning to lay down and feel like, I was I didn't really have my engines were just gone, you know, they were just gone. But that's when you came back in with this phenomenal feat, accomplishment of what we began 3.5 years ago to get, or 2.5 years ago to get him here. But you came in with that whole resurgence of energy and dedication, and just like, I mean, you were just like, Greta, you were hammering. And I was like, wow, I better get up. I mean, I better get going, because, I mean, if you hadn't come back when you did, Greta, I was pretty much beginning to flatline. I was.
You know what, though? But you know, what my drive was, and I've told you this before, is that when I showed up in Aruba in 2005, and I did not want to go there. I thought this was I just thought, look, you know, girls go out, they meet guys, they party, they miss planes. That's how I looked at it. So I thought I didn't really particularly want to go all the way down to Aruba to do this story, and I got sent there. And my hotel room wasn't open, so I said, well, what room was she in? And they told me the hotel, and I went over and knocked on the door. You opened the door. I felt like a lead balloon hit me, because when you meet a parent who's desperately looking for a child, or his child's been murdered, nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Wow. Oh, you came in at the perfect time, Greta. I know you had been in L.A.
I had been covering the Michael Jackson case, so I was tired. I was done.
Yeah.
You know, I was done.
You were going to be in and out, weren't you? Wow, you weren't. Greta, we're sitting here together today. I mean, October 18th, 2023. It's incredible.
And it's Natalie's birthday on Saturday?
Natalie's birthday would be Saturday, it's 21st.
How old?
36. 37.
37.
Yeah.
In fact, today you talked in court today, when you turned around and confronted Joran, all the things that he's been able to do. Have a wife and a child, and all the promise that we missed on Natalee.
Yeah, I know. But I'm trying to look at today, Greta, as what you brought me was a victory, and it's very victorious, and it was a huge team effort, you know, from you and I, and you lighting the fire, and we hit Miami, and hit Birmingham, and, you know, it just felt like we picked up all these, you know, all these different facets of it along the way, and it just, here we are.
What do you think Natalee would be like today?
Oh, I think Natalee would be, I think she'd have reached her goal. I think that she would be a doctor by now. I believe that. And she would have a niece and a nephew. She would have my grandchildren, Matt's. He has a little girl and a little boy, so she would have nieces and nephews. Wow. She would just have her own children. I would have more grandchildren than my two from that. So I think that she would, gosh, have just lived, you know, a great life, and still a great life ahead of her. So, you know, and sometimes, what am I going to do, cry? But here's what I really feel. I feel like she kind of still lives her life through Matt. And I don't know if people like that or not, but I just kind of feel like he has just taken off, you know? So I feel like she still lives on. She lives in our hearts and souls.